Okay. Call this meeting of the Board of Supervisors to order. Supervisor Grassi, lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody, and I'll ask the clerk to do the roll call, please.
Oops, Mr. Conover.
Here.
Mr. Mayday.
Here.
Mr. Diamond.
Here.
Ms. Gilligan. Here. Ms. Turner. Here. Mr. Bruno.
Here.
Mr. Driscoll.
Here.
Mr. Patchett.
Here.
Mr. Drossy.
Here.
Mr. Bean. Mr. Cressida.
Here.
Mr. Merlino.
Here.
Mr. Stroud. Mr. Wild.
Here.
Mr. McGowan.
Here.
Mr. Strainer.
Here.
Mr. Etu.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Ms. Runyon. Here. Chairman Garrity.
Here.
Quorum is established.
First item of business, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the July 19th meeting, subject to correction by the clerk. Somebody want to make the motion? Motion by Supervisor Diamond, second by Supervisor Driscoll. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next up is a public hearing on local law number 4 of 2024. And I will ask the clerk to please lead the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Warren, New York is considering the adoption of a proposed local law number 4 for the year 2024 entitled "A Local Law of the County of Warren, New York, Prohibiting Illicit Discharges, Activities, and Connections to the Warren County Separate Storm Sewer System and repealing and replacing local law number 2 of 2008. Notice is further given that pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Board of Supervisors on July 19th, 2024, a public hearing will be held by the Board of Supervisors on August 16th, 2024 at 10 a.m. in the Supervisors' Rooms at the Warren County Municipal Center located at 1340 State Route 9, Queensboro, New York, at which time and place all persons interested in the matter of such proposed local law number 4 for the year 2024 will be heard concerning same. A copy of said local law is available for inspection during regular business hours by contacting the clerk of the Board of Supervisors at the above stated address and may be viewed on the Warren County website.
Okay, we'll declare this public hearing open. Anybody wish to comment on this public hearing? Anybody from the audience wish to comment on this public hearing? We'll leave it open for a couple minutes and we'll move on. Is there any other public comment from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do committee reports. My report last month, obviously attended the board meeting, attended on the 23rd July, 24th of July, attended committee meetings. On the 25th, I attended the inter-county meeting in Hamilton County at Indian Lake. On the 31st, I went to the APA local government meeting in Long Lake. Also, that night, I attended the Heroes of Hospitality event in Lake George, where Vinny Crisudo and Gene Merlino were honored as being heroes of hospitality. On August 1st, I attended the Legislative Rules and Higher Education, Finance and Budget Committee meetings. On the 3rd, I went to the Warren County Youth Fair at the Fairgrounds in Warrensburg. Had a good time. On the 14th, attended Board of Supervisors workshop on sales tax. And yesterday, John Teflon and myself met with Daniel Wren. He's the new governor's regional rep for the Capital Region. And we toured along with Don Lehman some of the storm damage in Green Mansions area of Warrensburg. He was pretty, I won't say impressed, but pretty surprised about the amount of damage we had up here. And we do seek him to take back our message to the governor that the homeowners need some help with some of the cleanup. And he said he would do that. So, and he will be our new rep and it's interested. And I think we'll see more of him. And we did as a former person. Okay, we'll start with committee meetings. I'll go to Supervisor Grassi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Public Safety Committee met on July 23rd. Before you today is resolutions 241 to 261. The majority of those are for agreements for school resource officers. So I ask for your support on those. And the next meeting is coming up next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Right, Cressida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On July 24th, the Environmental Concerns and Real Property Tax Services Committee met. resolution number 266 was moved forward. The request was to rescind local law number 6 of 2011 in favor of posting the information on the county website. So the sheet that you get every year in your, with your county taxes with the pie graph on it will now be posted on the county website with budget information. So appreciate support on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Merlino.
Thank you, Chairman. There's only two resolutions for rock tax and tourism, and that's 283 and 282. Both of them are self-explanatory, so we all know it was passed by the board. The only other thing I got for tourism, I'm sorry, it's not the right thing. We were supposed to have something that looks like this, a rack card printed. We've been working on it for a couple of months and was supposed to be in early this week. They're saying now today it'll be in. It's a rack card that was made up by tourism to just promote September and October. And it has the Balloon Festival and Gore Mountain and ice hockey, skiing, winter green. So it's so that people, we're gonna get them out all this coming week that come here in September and October can pick up a rack card from wherever they're staying or around, know what's coming up in September and October and November. So just, I'm sorry it's not in. I only got paper copies of what it looks like. And, but it should be in today, they say, and we'll start getting them out early next week. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. On August 1st, the Personnel Administration and Higher Education Committee met. There's one resolution in the packet, number 284. It's to create and delete positions, building and code, tourism, and treasurer's office. I appreciate your support on those. There's also a full resolution for SUNY Adirondack. Many of us have heard the concerns that the college has in terms of their electrical distribution system and its aging and its inability to get spare parts. So I'm sure there'll be further discussion on this. And Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, maybe at the end of the meeting, I'd like to call an executive session to talk about a personnel issue.
Okay, we'll do that at the end of me. That's it. Supervisor McGowan.
No report, thank you.
Supervisor Strange.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Health Services met on the 23rd, and from that, you'll see items 267 and 268. One is to accept a grant application, and the other is reimbursement for PACE from Hudson Headwaters for delivering meals to the elderly. And that's it.
Supervisor Etu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Economic Growth and Development met on July 24th. Resolutions proposed 262 through 265. 262 is seeking to apply for more restore funding related to emergency residential home repairs. The latter three have to do with pretty simple agreements we want to authorize for workforce development. We also received a presentation from our GIS administrator called Spatial Storytelling in Western Warren County. It's developed to promote heritage tourism from our planning department, the Historical Society of Warren County, Cliff and Redfield and others. We had our project advisory group yesterday for the comprehensive plan in Warrensburg, and that's going full steam ahead. The committee meets again on Wednesday of next week, the 21st.
Thank you. Supervisor Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finance and budget met on August 1st. Out of that is several resolutions. The usual resolution 245 for supplemental appropriations. 246 amendments to 2024 county budget with 3 departments. The Board of Elections, Sheriff, and Veterans for additional revenues and grants. Resolution 285 is the airport, and that increases capital project H403. That's the taxiway lighting system design, and transfers funds $11,594.56 from A 9950 910 interfund transfers for capital projects, and that's the local match. Resolution 286 establishes a capital project H431
And this is also for the airport. It's a demo and construction of 6 bay T hangars. It's a $2.5 million project. Local share is $20,000. And that is out of the A992 Airport Reserve. Resolution 287 authorizes the use of ARPA funding to the Department of Workforce Development for training and staff development in the amount of $50,000. Resolution 288 increases the capital project H411, Corinth Road, County Route 28 for a culvert replacement, total cost of $2,855,000. The local share is $1,855,000. And that is out of D 9950-910 County Road Transfers. Resolution 289 establishes 3 county road projects for a total of $900,000, crack sealing, guardrails, and Diamond Point Road. Resolution 290 authorized deferred revenue from the Gaslight Village parking fees to pay for repairs and maintenance to the Village of Lake George in the amount of $2,584.01. And resolution 291 authorizes a grant application to the Department of State to a more swimming, the SWIMS grant program in the amount of $25,000. And the last one is resolution 292, which authorizes a memorandum of understanding with various municipalities pertaining to the SWIMS program. And that's all I have. The budget meetings with the department heads start on Monday and last for a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
All will be well. Sure.
Thank you. Supervisor Under,
No report. Thank you.
Supervisor Conover.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Public Works Committee met, represented in your packets by resolutions 275 through 281. There's some road award resolutions there that be self-explanatory. Resolution 277 is an amendment to our standby consulting contracts to expand the services to include some code enforcement services should they be needed. We're hoping they're not going to be needed, but should we find ourselves in a situation with retirement and everything else where we have to turn to the private sector to do something for us, we've got it set and ready to go. And what's interesting about this too is this, any of the municipalities could probably piggyback on this as well. So I think it's a good thing to have on standby. And I commend our department for adding this to the scope of services. As I say, hopefully it won't be needed. I just want to mention relative to the public hearing and the legislation on the MS4, we have Nick Rule. Nick, you want to stand up? There's Nick Rule from our Friends of Soil and Water is here to answer any questions anybody might have on the MS4 program. And Nick, we certainly appreciate you being here this morning. 281 is a grant for Up Down the Farm. It's 100% grant, no local share involved in that. And and that pretty much concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Mayday.
No report.
Supervisor Diamond.
No report.
Supervisor Gilligan.
No report.
Supervisor Turner.
No report. Thank you.
Supervisor Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. County facilities met on July 24th at 9 a.m. There are a couple of resolutions, 247, 248. 247 is authorizing agreement with McFarland Johnson to provide services related to capital project H431 demolition construction of 6 T bay hangars, 6 bay T hangars. I believe that's a 90% federal and 10% local match. And additionally, 248 is amending resolution number 343 of 2021, amending agreement with Highlight Airfield Services to provide airfield pavement marking painting for the Warren County Floyd Bennett Memorial Airport to increase the not to exceed amount one-time increase for 2024. As a result of the FAA inspection, and they required that we do some additional pavement marking.
So I hope you'll support those two. And as Supervisor alluded to, we continue to discuss with buildings and codes, the some of the impending retirement and stuff and the inability, so to speak, of being able to hire new replacements, not unlike a lot of other places that are experiencing the same problem with trying to hire people. So as Mr. Supervisor Conover stated, we Public Works is amending their agreement to include those services if we need them. So anyway, that concludes my report.
We also ought to thank Supervisor Diamond for bringing that up in committee. That's a good idea, what you had about getting part-timers. Thank you. Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. The Human Services Committee met on Tuesday, July 23rd. There are no resolutions coming from that meeting. Our next meeting will be this coming Tuesday, July 20th, beginning at or about 10:25. We'll hear from Social Services, the Countryside Adult Home, and the Youth Bureau. The DSS monthly report, as well as a quarterly newsletter that Social Services prepares, was emailed to board members. I think it was Wednesday after the workshop, this past Wednesday after the Board of Supervisors workshop. I attended a number of events and meetings, including the event up at the Fort William Henry, recognizing the leaders in tourism. I also attended the Summer Youth Employment programs end of the season, successful end of the season picnic, along with some other supervisors present. I attended the Cooperative Extension Youth Fair along with the chairman. That was very successful. We don't have a meeting this month because of the fair. John Bo is here also. And I also attended a very informative program that Jim and Nick and the folks up at Soil and Water provided in Crandall Park earlier this month. And that was very about some really important work that they're doing in Crandall Park. And that concludes. We'll also be meeting for 2 days. I think it's the 19th and the 26th for the budget review sessions. And I thank Ann Bruno for rescheduling the time of our Monday, August 26th meeting, so that I could attend along with some others the funeral mass at St. Mary's Church in Glens Falls of Queensbury Councilman Harrison Frere. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Paget.
No report.
Okay. One last chance. Does anybody wish to comment on the public hearing on MS4 local law? If not, we'll declare the public hearing closed. And I'll go to report of county administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This past week, Matt Chase, who's the president of NACO, visited. He's from Pilot Knob. We met a couple times. I've read to you from The Marvelous Adventures of County Land. Matt Chase wrote that with the help of AI, and he wanted all of you to have a signed copy of the book. We've distributed it, and he sends his best regards to everyone here in the Board of Supervisors. 25th of July, attended Inter-County, as the chairman mentioned. 31st of July, Heroes of Hospitality event. Again, that was Gene Merlino, Vinnie Cressito, Dennis Dickinson, and I also see Sam Luciano in the back, who was another one of the honorees. Great event. 6th of August, I had a breakfast with the Saratoga and Washington County administrators. We meet quarterly. I've told you before. We talked a lot about sales tax. Washington County doesn't intend to go forward for a request to the legislature next year for a sales tax increase. They have not voted on it yet either, so they're probably going to vote on it this fall. Saratoga shows no intent to do that at this time. We talked about the regional morgue. They're both interested in the regional morgue. They both pledged their support for a morgue after it is developed. And that's pretty much what I'm getting. I'll lead on the 7th of August. We had a regional morgue meeting with all the area coroners who would be involved, 7 counties who we've identified who could participate. The coroners all reiterated their need for something, but they don't have the ability to commit to supporting it. So that will rest with the administrators and supervisors. So we'll be bringing sometime this fall, I think in October, a go, no go decision for this board to decide if we move forward on a regional forensic center. We have to face it that we probably would be, I'm going to look for some alternatives, working with the county county attorney on some type of regional authority where there would be shared funding, but the other county administrators I've talked to would prefer that's after the facility is built. So if we're going to build it, it might be on us to do. So we'll be prepared to just have that discussion sometime in October. 12th of August, I met with Carm Basil of CDTA. He has reiterated that Warren County has a seat on the CDTA board. And the process is we submit 2 or 3 nominees to the governor, and she appoints one of them to be on the CDTA board. We'll begin that process in the fall. So more to follow on that. He also asked his patience in evaluating additional bus routes. We've asked for him to look at some additional bus routes. Ridership, quite frankly, is pretty low for our area. With the exception of the trolleys that are running right now, the trolleys seem to be doing okay. The ridership in the Glens Falls, Queensbury area up through Bolton he said, we talk about millions down in the Capital District. We're talking about hundreds in Warren County. So it's just a little bit lower than expected, and they're going to try to help increase that a little bit. But they don't think they'll be looking at any additional routes until after the summer season is over with the rush they have to meet the trolley requirements. 14th of August, we met with Marshall and Sterling and a team from a company called ProAct to discuss our pharmaceutical coverage with our employee health plan. Pharmaceutical costs, like many things, but pharmaceutical costs are skyrocketing, and we've seen big increases. As you know, we're self-insured, so we're paying these costs ourselves. Marshall and Sterling proposed an alternative using that we switch to this company ProAct to provide our pharmaceuticals. There would be some disruption, probably some hiccups to employees as we transition to this new program. But ProAct has assured us they're able to work through those. So we're going to probably make a decision on that by September. And we need to make a decision on that by September to move forward and switch by the 1st of the year. 14th of August, most of you know, we had the sales tax workshop. I am going to follow up with John Garvey, JP Garvey of Garvey Kia, meet with some of the auto dealers, hear some of their concerns, and maybe we can come up with some mitigations that will address those concerns. Met with Dan Wren, as the chairman said. As Chairman or Supervisor Etu said last night, we had the project advisory group in Warrensburg at the fire company. We've identified 7 goals and numerous objectives for each. We're really getting close to the finish on this, and the team's done a phenomenal job, and the project advisory group is very engaged, and they've been very helpful through the process. I think we'll finish that this fall. And employee anniversary dates. Our own supervisor, Etu, it's 1 year this year. Congratulations. Adam Stevenson, probation, 20 years. Dan Clifford, Sheriff's Office, 22 years. Lisa Morton, Public Health, 22 years. Rachel DeRose, Social Services, 23 years. Elizabeth Burke, Social Services, 25 years. Tammy Morehouse, Countryside Adult Home, 26 years. Ed Affinito, Sheriff's Office, 29 years, and Robert Smith of the Sheriff's Office, 31 years. Thank you for your service. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Report of County Attorney.
Good morning. I am going to defer my litigation report to the personnel meeting on August 30th. Subject to any questions, that's my report for the month.
Okay.
Thank you.
Reading of communications.
We have the County Auditor's July 2024 Report of Real Property Tax Corrections, Adirondack Park Local Government Review Board's Annual Update and Adopted Budget, Capital District Regional Off-Track Betting Corp's audited financial statements and supplemental and other information for years ended December 31st, 2023 and 2022. Capital District Regional Off-Track Betting Corp financial reports dated November 30th, 2022, January 21st, 2024, February 29, 2024, March 31, 2024, and April 30th, 2024. We have a letter from Fitzgerald Morris Baker Firth advising of the Warren, Washington County's IDA application for real property tax exemptions on behalf of 326 Sherman Ave LLC in the town of Queensbury, as well as a notice of public hearing regarding Adirondack Radiology Associates PC and Cary Road Medical Building LLC project, and Washington County Board of Supervisors Resolution number 216 of 2024, which was to adopt the Adirondack Community College budget.
Okay. We'll go to reading of resolutions.
Proclamation numbers 28 and 29, resolution numbers 245 through 292, and floor resolutions 1 through 6 were posted to the Warren County website and distributed to the members of the Board of Supervisors on Tuesday, August 13th. The proclamations before you are number 28, Women's Equality Day, and 29, Immunization Awareness Month. Motion is needed to bring the floor resolutions to the floor, so we'll start with number 1.
Okay, a motion to bring floor resolution number 1 to the floor. Motion by Supervisor Runyon, second by Supervisor Turner. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Floor resolution number 1 is now resolution number 293. Motion to bring floor resolution number 2 to the floor.
we have a motion to bring floor resolution number 2. Supervisor Runyon again. Do we have a second? Supervisor Gilligan. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Floor resolution number 2 is now resolution number 294. Motion to bring floor resolution number 3 to the floor.
Motion to bring floor resolution number 3 to the floor by Supervisor Runyon again. Do we have a second? Supervisor Etu. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Floor resolution number 3 is now resolution number 295. Motion to bring floor resolution number 4 to the floor.
Motion on floor resolution number 4 by Supervisor Wild. Do we have a second by Supervisor Driscoll? Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Floor resolution number 4 is now number 296. Motion to bring floor resolution number 5 to the floor.
Number 5, anybody wish to bring number 5? Supervisor Runyon, do we have a second? Supervisor Drossy, floor resolution number 5. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carry.
Floor resolution number 5 is now number 297, and motion to bring floor resolution number 6 to the floor.
Motion to bring floor resolution number 6. Supervisor Strainer, second by Supervisor Runyon. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, floor resolution number 6 is now number 298.
Okay. Great, we have our floor resolutions, and now we need to. Does anybody need to recuse themselves from any resolutions? Supervisor,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be recusing myself from resolution number 282.
282, would that be a roll call vote? Okay, anybody else? Okay. Discussion and public comment on any resolution. Anybody from the board or anybody from the public wish to talk about any resolutions on our table? Supervisor Diamond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to have a discussion on 284, please. Resolution 284. My question is actually a couple questions. Question is, I was part of the committee that we created the part-time position in the Building and Codes Office, which hopefully that'll be filled on a part-time basis to alleviate some of the pressures in that department. But my question is, more oriented towards the other positions. We've got we're deleting a position in the tourism department. That's a grade 10. And we're creating a position in the tourism department, which is a grade 15, approximately $5,000 a year increase. And in the treasurer's department, we're deleting a position that's a grade 10. And we're creating a position that's a grade 19, which is approximately $11,000 more a year. We're fastly approaching the budget process. I wonder if it's a good idea that we make these changes in advance of the budget process. That would be my concern at this point in time, is that maybe we should hold off on the deletion and creation, or is there a good reasonable explanation as to why these got to be done today?
John, you want to take that?
Yes.
It was done because we need to get people.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the position you requested information on, the tourism position, we currently have a lady who is a retiree who's filling a position in the Office of Tourism as the account clerk. And she really is performing more than, as they looked at the position, performing more than what is generally done by an account clerk. And so the recommendation from civil service was to change that position to a fiscal coordinator position. We're creating the position now because the person who's the incumbent in the account clerk position will be retiring the end of this year. And the concern is if we wait until the budget process, the new position would not be created until January or effective in January. And the person will already be retired, so there'll be no overlap between the two. And this is the one person, you all know who she is, who manages our occupancy tax. I mean, it's probably the most critical position we have down there, managing this $7.7 to $8 million a year we get in occupancy tax, and this is the person who manages that. So this is funded by occupancy tax, this position, so we'd appreciate your support on that. On the treasurer's position, there was a lot of discussion about this during the personnel committee and then also the finance committee, and it wasn't, this is a very simple actual transaction. So basically, under union rules, if someone is performing at a next higher level position, because of the work they're doing with that position, they are often they're given the pay with that position. It's called working out of title, and it's all okay with civil service, and it's all clear with the union rules. What happens is we have to ultimately change the books. So they had accounting technician positions within the Department of the Treasurer's Office. And so this person has been working in this position and is currently getting paid for the work that she's doing in that position. So basically what we're doing is we're correcting the books for the Treasurer's Office so that when they come into the budget cycle this year, they can program the budget to cover this cost associated with this position. So it's basically an administrative change. And I apologize, it was not explained as such in the personnel and finance committee in the past. But the person is already getting the funding this year, and the funding is in the treasurer's budget.
Thank you.
Any other questions on resolution? Supervisor
Are any of
Stringer?
these positions tested?
Yes, all the union positions were tested, the civil service.
So these people that we're gonna put in now will have to take the test and pass the test, and other people at the same time can take the test and.
That's correct. And those are the policy, the rules we follow. This test comes up sometime next year. The results will be out 8 months later. So I'd love to say that civil service keeps up with everything that we need to do, but they don't actually do that. Not our civil service, the civil service at the state. So it'll be probably a year and a half to 2 years before we know the results of the test for this person in this position.
So are they creating, is that a position they're creating through the?
The position will be created through this, and that the person's already in that position. Again, and the working out a title is kind of, there's a more complex name for that now. We always called it working out a title, which means you're working at the next higher level. There's some other more comprehensive name that explains that the state civil service came up with, but we just haven't used it.
Any other questions or Supervisor Paget?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question on resolution 282. This involves the Warren County Coalition Incorporated. My question is this, I've been going to the occupancy tax committee meetings and previously we gave them $3 million, which if we do not approve this $400,000 allocation for this coming
Hang on
year.
just for a minute, Josh.
What's that?
Supervisor Cressida, you have to leave
right.
because we're talking about 282. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
So I've been attending these meetings and we previously gave Warren County Coalition $3 million. And now the way that I'm understanding it is if we don't give them this 400K, the show stops. Essentially, the county, it appears we're at a rock and a hard place. We don't approve the 400,000, then the county has no chance of receiving the $3 million back. So I guess my question is, what's to say that they're not going to be coming back next year for another 400 or 300? And I'm wondering, and clearly we understand that there's a lot of variables involved and it's just not cut and dry. But the way I understand it is the advertising is paid for a multitude of years to come. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask, is there any way we can take that 400K and allocate it for 2 years so that we can sort of guarantee that next year we're not having another conversation right now for an additional $300,000 or $400,000, and then we'll be in a very similar situation saying, well, you owe us 3.4 million. And if you don't give us a little bit more, the show won't go on. And just wondering if we can spread that out rather than just be a lump sum for this year. Thank you.
take that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your question. As far as what I'll address is the spreading it out over 2 years. Basically, the Warren County Coalition is in a position where they need $250,000 to start the Winter's Dream event this year. And if they don't get that $250,000, probably Winter's Dream will not be able to start. The additional $150,000, taking it to $400,000, was discussed at the committee. And that is for enhancements to the existing Winter's Dream event to make it more based on some of the comments last year, to expand it a little bit, make it more interactive and provide additional lights to the outside of Fort William Henry. So it's more attractive to visitors as they drive by. So those are enhancements to the show. And so I think the 400,000 is needed this year. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other question? Supervisor Paget?
No more questions.
Okay, Supervisor Diamond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question on floor resolution 296. It looks like we're paying, the Adirondack Community College has a replacement cost for electrical improvements or upgrades to $4 million. And it looks like the state is going to pay $2 million. Warren County is going to pay $1.4 million. Washington County, 600,000. Is Adirondack Community College having any monies into this project? Are they investing out of their budget any monies into this capital improvement?
I think I would have to turn to SUNY on that. What I would like to say, I was going to speak to this resolution, though, if I could, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
This is a miss on my part. The reason it's coming as a floor resolution. Initially, we intended, the state has already committed to $2 million. Washington County has already voted and committed their 600,000. we knew the money was needed basically about November. So we planned to put this in the bond. There's about a $15.8 million bond that we're going to enter into this fall, probably October, November timeframe. The treasurer's working on it, and it is not 15.8 million. It's about 8.8 million that we're rolling from an existing ban or two, I believe. And then 7.7 million that we need for road projects. This 1.4 million is part of that. And I was under the impression that the money was not needed until November, so we thought we'd bring it through the committees and everything. What we learned is that SUNY Adirondack needs to sign a contract for a design of the project, the electrical project. The information they get from that design is required for us to help justify the bond. So we couldn't wait until November to do the bond and give them the money. They needed to do the design now, and they wanted to make sure they had the money committed before they signed the contract for a design project. So, and I think I'd go over to Anne Marie Scheidegger after that.
Thank you. Mr. Diamond, the college funded the schematic design of the infrastructure and the professional cost estimator out of their operating budget this year. In general, we are not allowed to fund large construction projects out of our operating budget. That comes from capital, and the source of capital funds is the local sponsor.
Could you tell me how much you have in your current fund balance?
My budget book is over there.
Okay.
But it's about 7% of our operating expenditures.
What's your operating expenditures?
About $32 million. So it represents about 1 month's operating expenditures, which in general is used for cash flow throughout the year. Cash comes in about 3 times to our institution, but our expenditures are evenly split over a 12-month period.
Is there any reason why you can't move some monies out of that fund balance to help offset the expense?
That's a great question. In New York State, the way our colleges are established, our operating budget is separate from our capital budget. The funds utilized for capital come from the local sponsor, which does essentially hold in trust for the college all of the assets of the college, in addition to a $300 per FTE per year capital chargeback, which comes from all the other counties that send students to SUNY Adirondack. We use that every single year to fund our deferred maintenance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on any resolutions? Any other questions from the public on any resolutions?
Yeah.
Please step up, and we need your name and residence.
I'm Bob Dillon. I'm a resident of the town of Lake George. I'm speaking on 282, so Vinny, you're going to have to go. I'm here to express my disappointment and lack of confidence in the ability of this board to allocate occupancy tax monies. This winter's dream is a financial fiasco, and I do not believe that another $400,000 is going to help. Just so some of you know, I grew up here. We summered on Lake George. I went to prep school in Lake Placid. I worked in Madison Avenue and the television industry in New York, LA, and Boston. I ran ad workshop for 2 years in the Adirondacks. I know the region well. We summered on Lake George all the 60s. I know a loser when I see it. Where is the money going to come if you allocate $400,000 more? How are you going to get it back? Everything that I read in all the local papers stated that this was a guarantee that it was going to be paid back in 5 years. Where's that guarantee? I'm sorry. And I was also at Heroes of Hospitality, and congratulations, Mr. Merlino, Cressito, you guys. I think that the Fort does a top-notch job of marketing. I think that the Visitors Bureau does a wonderful job. And I think that the tourism department here also does a very good job. But it was my understanding when the sales tax was first come up with. And I talked to a former general manager of a large property in Lake George who was against it at the turn of the century. And I said, why? Why would you not vote for something that would give you a fund to market, advertise, promote heads and beds? That's where the money is up here in the summer. He said, I'm not against the principle of it. I'm against what's going to happen. It's going to turn out to be a cookie jar and a slush fund for the Warren County supervisors, and they're going to start allocating monies in ways that shouldn't be allocated. The process and the way that this went down, no transparency. And I called Doug Beatty up and I talked to him. I talked to Claudia. I've done a forensic analysis of this. If you guys decide to give this $400,000, you need a guarantee you're going to get this all back. I am not against shoulder seasons. I think trying to make a winter season a successful season is spot on. But if you're going to rely on the weather here, the winter weather, just go over to Spencer Montgomery and ask him what it's like to have to make snow after it's all been rained out. It's too warm. You need to have things that are going to have some attraction that doesn't depend on weather. So I'm dead set against it. I hope you don't vote for it. And thank you for bringing it up. Thank you.
Yes, County Attorney.
I feel it's important to clarify the conversation about guarantees and promises to repay. The first $3 million, as I've said at the time and continue to state, is what you would call an unsecured loan. There's no collateral for the loan, and it's an obligation assumed by the coalition group as an entity, as a not-for-profit entity in the state of New York. There were some conversations in the committee meeting about securing an interest in the very the collateral that may exist with the coalition. But I've received no guidance, and this resolution does not provide for that. And I guess my third point would be, this is the only occasion that I'm aware of, and granted, I've only been here for a short time, where occupancy tax was offered to be returned back to the county once provided to an outside entity. So in many ways, this is a very new experience and experiment for Warren County, which probably should have been the first of the 3 points I raised. So it is a new experiment that the board has undertaken. The promise to repay is a promise by the coalition as a business not-for-profit entity. And I have no authority or direction from the board to seek whatever lien may be available for the collateral currently owned by the coalition as a result of the initial $3 million funding. Thanks.
Any other questions? Supervisor McGowan.
Thank you. I did have some conversation with one of the coalition's participants, because my phone's been ringing and I have to answer, some questions. I listened to some of the things that happened last year in February that I didn't realize, the changes that were made that came out of the coalition's pockets. And also the company that designed this came in. They saw some changes that were needed and they moved forward that. They have a lot of different ideas for this year that they're working on and changing it up and adding some more. I thought there was going to be a workshop on this or a separate meeting. Are you guys aware of that?
We had meetings in the committee.
Well, one of the things I asked, is that we need to see, we've heard that, they have put in money, but we haven't seen that. I said, what the supervisors need and the public needs is to see something, and the hearsay and how, we heard that you were going to pay it back, but how are we going to pay it back? and the changes that you're gonna make and some of the concerns I vented that I had, as one was ticket pricing. I thought it was way too high. My attitude is make it lower, get more. For a family to go in and do that. And then I also threw out some ideas that I thought would, be an enhancement, which I actually got, that's a really good idea. So I'm just wondering if maybe we should hold off on this vote and have a meeting with the coalition as a group, workshop to help answer some of these questions so we can answer to our constituents.
John, you want to take that? We've had meetings, but.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee, the coalition has submitted a report to the Tourism Committee and also the Office of Tourism, a final report. And we've discussed that in 2 tourism committee meetings. They've come to make presentations. They've talked about things like ticket prices and enhancements and things like that. I do know that they're kind of at a position right now where if we delay this by a month, they probably need the money before we could get something scheduled for a workshop and then a follow-on vote. It'd probably be too late because we're getting to the time where they're going to need to sign contracts and get moving on this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Paul, thank you. But this is how what happened last year. There was a rush down to the last minute. We weren't able to do our full vetting. I still believe that and some positiveness can come out of this with a few changes but unfortunately I didn't get to see the tourism meeting on that, but really based down to 5, 6, 7 people compared to a 20-person board for what we have to answer to our constituents might be more helpful than just running it to a committee. So I'd be asking for a workshop on this so everybody can hear what I heard and put in some of their 2 cents of what we feel might help this, because it is, I do see a positive in this. It's just, it makes me worry. It's a lot of money.
And we had questions, Supervisor Drosy.
Yeah, 2 things, clarification, reinforce what the administrator said. We did have a very open, comprehensive discussion, thanks to our committee chair, Merlino, during the last OCTAX meeting. So I'm sure you could watch that and catch up, but I don't think a delay is going to be beneficial at all at this point. I don't think we could do that. We made a rational, conscious decision to move forward with this as a committee. And there was a lot of opinions during that. But I think we also need a factual clarification. The comment was made that because of weather, this is a loser. One of the reasons. My understanding is, and I asked our tourism director to clarify that, this is not like ice castles. Am I correct? This is not winter weather dependent. We can just get a clarification on that. Be appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. You are correct. And one of the reasons for this particular event is because it's not weather dependent. And so that is one of those reasons for that. And I do want to throw out there with ice castles, you had a fabulous year that year. It was something unbeknownst to anything that has been in and around this area. So you really, it's apples and oranges if you look at the comparison in the 2 of them, just being honest.
Thank you. Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Some of the committees have heard me speak before them about this event. And just to go backwards, the majority of this funding came from the windfall that we had from short-term rentals. And it was significant. And we decided to do something different. And I appreciate the attorney's comments about it being an experiment. It is an experiment to do something different. We took a shot at something and we trusted the coalition. And that coalition, if you know and look at the members of that coalition, they are senior leaders in our tourism, hospitality industry, as well as other businesses. These are the type of people that we've trusted with the Civic Center. They've turned that around. So I think it's important that we understand that, again, this was year one. Year one is always fraught with Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. Right? But I have all the confidence in the world that the coalition is going to do what they think is best to make it successful. Are we going to get our $3 million back? I have no idea. It was a risk. We knew that going forward. Right? But at the same time, it's an opportunity to have another event to explore and expand our shoulder seasons. And that's important to us because summer's great, but everything kind of goes dark after that time. So I'm in total support. I hope the rest of the board can agree with me on moving forward with that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Bruno and did Supervisor Turner?
Okay. I have a couple of questions or statements, I guess. First of all, it is weather dependent. Sorry, Heather, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but because it was off because of rain. So it is weather dependent. It's not like it's an indoor event. I also was wondering, I mean, it would be nice if we could separate the 250 from the 150. The 250 to get the event back up and going would be great. The 150 extra for funding. I'm wondering if there's another way for that money to be found. I know there's DRI money in Lake George, could an application be made for that?
Answer that.
That's it.
Supervisor Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make a fairly simple statement. We went into this is a 5-year commitment. And you had one questionable year out of the gate. So do you throw the thing out because of one year? I don't think so, not in my opinion. I've been involved with many things over the years where it started off not so great, but it was a protracted commitment. So you look at it as it proceeds, as it matures. So I just think that you can't toss it out because of 1 year. And granted, I agree, I'm not happy about the $400,000 expenditure. But again, what do? It's in its infancy, as they say. And if you have to make another commitment, so be it. Again, not happy about it, but I just don't think you can curtail it after one questionable year. Thank you.
Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chair, without objection, there are members from the coalition here. If it's agreeable to the board, maybe we can give them a couple of minutes just to kind of provide some more background in terms of where they are, where they're going.
Without objection. Sure. Whoever would like to speak on
Dan?
behalf of the coalition.
Put you on the spot, buddy.
Good morning and thank you. And certainly understand the concerns. I just want to clear up a few things. I hope we've been totally transparent. We certainly have tried. We've come to every meeting with the data that we collected. We collected a lot of data, did surveys, it helped shape the event. As somebody mentioned, even last February made a huge change in the event to make it more palatable for the visitors. The weather, the show itself is not weather dependent. The show itself goes on regardless of rain, unlike ice castles that was shut down. So it's the visitors that have trouble with the rain, and we're taking measures to offset that as well. As you know, ice castles is not back this year. So one of the things we will not be contending with is the confliction with the name. Mr. Dillon, it's not sales tax, it's ox tax, by the way, and would love to have a private meeting with you and anybody else that'd like to see all of our financials, all of our marketing, everything we've done, and all of our plans. Mr. McGowan, the changes for next year, you had a question on that. We spent a lot of time on this. So the first thing is Winter's Dream will only be open 4 days this year coming up, from November 9th to March 1st. There'll definitely be new pricing strategies in place with family values that will not go anywhere near $100. We want the families to be involved. Winter's Dream will operate again Thursday through Sunday. Sundays and Thursdays, each of those will have special events, veterans, medical, et cetera. United Way that we did last year. We'll start the shows a little bit earlier. Last year, a lot of our planning was based on Moment Factory's expertise. That was not a pie in the sky. That's a international company that has many these types of attractions around the world and do very well with it. They asked us not to open until what's called nautical twilight time, which is 45 minutes after dusk. We found that we can open earlier with that because of the lighting that we have. So we'll have other shows, and we're also adding components that'll bring later shows that'll be more attractive. I wouldn't necessarily say the show was not a success. We sold 26,000 tickets. It was much less than we anticipated. The pro forma we put together was not, again, a pie in the sky. It was based on experts, Moment Factory, Ice Castles, et cetera, and what they were able to put together. So, we're proud of the tickets that we did sell. And as we reported, we have a very good data system now. We had a 9% increase in hotel occupancies. We had a 25% increase in short-term vacation rentals. Those aren't small numbers in a winter with rain. And we anticipate more rain this year. We anticipate other measures we'll have to tackle, but you have a very good coalition. You're backed with a lot of the business professionals. We added one more family member from the Kenny family this year. Will be joining our board as well. The other thing we've done is we're very proud of Sarah Mannix. She's an outstanding young lady, does a great job marketing, but she recommended to us that we switch. So this year we'll be switching to Fever. It's a company that Moment Factory uses. They're much more high-end. They will do both ticketing and marketing, and they have a database called Secret New York for 1.5 million people on it that will be targeting and marketing to as well. The last thing to know is I Love New York last year came and filmed. We'll be in their I Love New York campaigns this year. They did a film on it. So they'll be part of our marketing. If you look at our pro forma, basically all the money is in two areas. It's in marketing. So you are getting the benefit. Last year was at almost $500,000 marketing and equipment. That's the whole picture. That's what it cost. And each year we're trying to buy equipment so our costs go down. I've addressed this a few times, but I'll say it again. The commitment to pay back the money, we're a nonprofit organization. Under our contract, 50% of the money will go back to the county, absolutely positively. We never made a commitment. Mr. Diamond asked me last year, 5 years, 3 years. I said it over and over again. I don't know if it's going to be 2 years. I don't know if it's going to be 10 years, but we'll keep trying and we'll keep fighting and we'll keep giving half the money to the county. And like we said, if not this event in the winter, it's at November through March. Properties like Fort William Henry and Marriott and Holiday Inn, we have year-round payrolls. We have to pay, or we can't open a seasonal operation every year with the size of it. We have to employ these people. So these are the efforts that we put forth to help make Warren County a 365 area. And I hope everybody can understand that. And I'll close with this. Please call me, call Vinny, call any one of us. We'll be happy to sit down with you and show you everything. We don't want to hide anything. We want to give you everything that we have and get your input because we'd love to make changes if they make sense to us. And with that, anything else to add to that?
Just thank you very much. Just to say that one of the confusions that occurred last year was that at the almost identical time that Moment Factory revealed the name Winter's Dream to the coalition as their concept for the entire event, Ice Castles revealed that the name of their event would be Winter Realms. At which point we went, wait a minute, how is anybody going to know the difference between Winter's Dream and Winter Realms? Well, if you drive into Lake George Village, the first thing you see is a bunch of flashy lights called Winter Realms. And they go, yeah, I want to go there, right? It's lights. Look at that. It's exciting. That's not going to be there anymore. But the confusion that was caused, despite an incredible marketing effort, the confusion that was caused by people not knowing that, oh yeah, just up the hill in that kind of dimly lit fort up there is a whole different experience, Winter's Dream, which now stands alone on itself. So part of the improvements that we're making this year are to create a glowing blue Fort William Henry that is going to suck people in off the street as they drive into town and they go, that is something I want to go see. It's just one of the things that we got back. I think the whole family pricing plan is going to pay off for us because in the world of opera, the more subscribers you get at low ticket prices, the bigger your audience gets and the more important it becomes to attend just because it's the thing to do. And we really want to rely on those kinds of tactics and those strategies to bring Linda's Dream back stronger than ever. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just one other thing to skip my mind. The $3 million or the $3.4 million that we're investing in this event is not the whole package. The coalition and the fort invested significantly to make this happen. So I'm sure Sam can give us an idea of what that was, but it's not just Warren County occupancy tax that's making it happen. There's investment by the community and the businesses to make this happen. So Sam, I don't know if you have just a rough number for us in terms of what was invested from the coalition and the other partners.
Yeah, we did a kind of a back of the napkin in one of our meetings, and we were well over $5.5 million in time and services of coalition. The fort had, our bill was $877,000. How to get so large? Well, Moment Factory came to us and said, to make this show a success, you have to put in a handicapped elevator. No problem. Handicapped elevator. We knew the price of that going in. What we didn't anticipate is the elevator is in our courtyard. You can't just have an elevator. Now we have to put blacktop and pavement so that we can have egression and ways to get to the elevator. So these are all the additional expenses that the fort took on the chin. Not to mention Sarah Mannix gave up $180,000 in services. Christian Dusher gave up close to $60,000 in services, and on and on. And the Sagamore donated 24 Adirondack chairs for the fire pits. And I got a list if you want. The fire marshals that were there every day, 3 of them, their time, salespeople went out selling, parking controls, all that was on the coalition that we donated our time and services, and a lot of the equipment too that was used. So if you do all that on the back of a napkin, it's about 5.4, almost $6 million, depending how you calculate our time. Okay.
Okay. And the other thing I'd like to add is this was shared with the committee and was shared with the county. All this information is available. We've had the information available, and going forward, we were given the path forward that the coalition thought they needed to take. That's why the resolution has been introduced today. Who else had a hand? Supervisor McGowan.
So I want to thank you for coming up and doing it. It was simple, but it gives all of us that didn't have the opportunity to be one at the meeting, but really to let the public know, because sometimes this information is not passed on as quickly as it should be. So I really do appreciate it. And one of the ideas that I talked to Vinny about was in the courtyard is maybe doing the wires and the lights to make it look like the stars. And satellites going through, maybe a plane or something. I don't know, it's pricey. These LEDs and little strings and that, because you're up higher. That was just one of the ideas, but no, I had a great conversation meeting with Vinny, and it answered a lot of my questions, and you coming up today, both of you, I really do appreciate, and throwing out some numbers of what the coalition and private sector has put into this. So thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay, thank you.
Could I just say one?
Supervisor.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying again about the winter realms and the winter dreams, because I had forgotten about the winter realms and how that confused people, totally confused people. The night I went up, I was like, where do we go? Oh, there's all the lights. I guess we go down there. And I found my way to the fort, into the fort, and enjoyed myself for the evening. But, and also thanks for clarifying other expenses that went into this. I didn't know about a handicapped elevator that had to go in, and some of the other expenses that you mentioned. So that was, thank you. Thank you so much.
County Attorney.
I wanted to emphasize one point that Mr. Luciano stated exactly correct, which was the methodology for reimbursement on the contract is 50% of the net profits each year would come back into the county, so that the coalition could reinvest that remaining 50% each year. It's not a 3-year, it's not a 5-year, it's established until it's paid back, and as long as the coalition is running the event. So I think that's an important point to make sure everybody hears again. It was emphasized last year. It was clearly stated by the coalition, and I just wanted to make sure it wasn't missed by anybody on the board. Thank you.
Okay, Wrap up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And that amount was $50,000 this year. Thank you.
Any other questions? We'll move on to other resolutions. Thank you. Oh.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I supported this initially and I support it here today. And I think that my thinking on this is, you know, who are these people? They're the same people that produce close to 60% of our occupancy tax revenue. Lake George produces 60% of our occupancy tax revenue that's shared with all of us. All of us. They produce the revenue, the occupancy tax revenue that helps to support the Civic Center, Pool Arena. They came to us to try to do something in the low part of the season. And sold 27,000 tickets. I mean, say that slowly. 27,000 tickets. But for that event, it'd be zero. It would be zero. So, and they offered, should they make some money, to give us some money back. And I don't think that should be used on a club on them now. I can't think of any of the other activities, the tens of millions of dollars that we've provided to all different types of activities over the years that paid us back. I think it was a very generous offer. And I don't think it should be used against them today. And we have activities now that initially we thought we were going to fund for 3 years. Initially, Cool Arena was for 3 years. We've been funding it ever since because they made a go of it, didn't they? And we not only gave them the 250, we gave them an additional $500,000 for capital improvements. And we gave money for, and I'm just saying that, you know, these people are the same people that really provide the bulk of our occupancy tax revenue, the collections and occupancy tax revenue. And I think they should be applauded for trying to do something on the low part of the season. And I hope that this year, I hope you do attract at least 26 or 27,000 people, and hopefully you'll do more. And I wish you the very best going forward.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay, we're going to move on to other resolutions. Any request for roll call votes on any other resolutions? No? Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
is 282 on a roll call?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, 282 is on a roll call. Thank you, Vinnie. All right, Jane Merlino, can you ask Ben? Oh, yeah, we're gonna vote on resolutions. Okay.
Resolution 245, making supplemental appropriations. Mr. Drossy?
Yes.
Mr. Crusito?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Wild?
Yes.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Mr. Strainer?
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Runyon?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Mayday?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Patchit?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution passes with 880 votes in favor. Resolution 246, amending Warren County budget for 2024. Mr. Drossy?
Yes.
Mr. Crusito?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Wild?
Yes.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Mr. Strainer?
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Runyon?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Mayday?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan?
Yes.
Mr. Turner? I'm
Yes.
sorry, Ms. Turner? Sorry. Mr. Bruno?
Whoops.
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Patchit?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution passes with 880 votes in favor. Resolution 279, enacting local law number 4 of 2024 entitled a local law of the County of Warren, New York, prohibiting illicit discharges, activities, and connections to the Warren County separate storm sewer system. Mr. Drossy?
Yes.
Mr. Crusito?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Wild?
Yes.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Mr. Strainer.
Yes.
Mr. Etu.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Ms. Runyon.
Yes.
Mr. Conover.
Yes.
Mr. Mayday.
Yes.
Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan.
Yes.
Ms. Turner.
Yes.
Mr. Bruno.
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll.
Yes.
Mr. Patchit.
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 880 votes in favor. Resolution 282, amending Resolution 573 of 2023, which authorized agreements with certain applicants for the disbursement of 2024 occupancy tax revenues to authorize agreements and funding to the Warren County Coalition. Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito.
Recuse myself on this one. Is this 282?
Yes.
You recuse?
Yes.
Let's see, Mr. Merlino,
Yes, yes, and yes.
Mr. Wild.
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer.
Yes.
Mr. Etu.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
No.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 782 votes in favor. Resolution 284, amending table of organization and Warren County salary and compensation plan for 2024. Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Wild.
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Etu.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 880 votes in favor. Resolution 285, increasing capital project H403, rehabilitation of airfield taxiway lighting system. Mr. Drossy.
Yes.
Here, Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Wild.
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer.
Yes.
Mr. Etu.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Ms. Runyon.
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll.
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 880 votes in favor. Resolution 286, establishing capital project H431, demolition and construction of 6 bay T hangars. Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino.
Yes.
Mr. Wild.
Yes.
Mr. McGowan.
Yes.
Mr. Strainer.
Yes.
Mr. Etu.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Ms. Runyon.
Yes.
Mr. Conover.
Yes.
Mr. Mayday.
Yes.
Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan.
Yes.
Ms. Turner.
Yes.
Mr. Bruno.
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll.
Yes.
Mr. Patchit.
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 880 votes in favor. Resolution 288, increasing capital project H411 Corinth Road over Clendon Brook Culvert Replacement. Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Wild.
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer.
Yes.
Mr. Etu.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 880 votes in favor. Resolution 289, establishing 2024 road fund projects and amending Warren County budget. Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Wild.
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer.
Yes.
Mr. Etu.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 880 votes in favor. Resolution 290, authorizing appropriation of funds from deferred revenue Gaslight Village parking fees. Mr. Drossy.
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Wild.
Yes.
Mr. McGowan.
Yes.
Mr. Strainer.
Yes.
Mr. Etu.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 880 votes in favor.
We asked for a roll. SUNY, didn't we?
I did not get that one. Is there anybody who wants one?
Supervisor Diamond, did you want a roll call on the SUNY one?
No, I didn't have.
Oh, okay, all right.
The collective
So
office.
collective, all those in favor of the rest of the resolution, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. They all pass. Okay. Open up to privilege floor and public comment. Any? First, for the executive session.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I'd like to congratulate Vinnie and Jean. It was and the late Dennis Dickinson. It was a lovely night at the Fort William Henry and well deserved. If you heard the speeches for these gentlemen, you'd be impressed with them also. I too went to the youth picnic. I tell you what, if you've never been to the youth picnic, you should make it a point to go. The smiles and the pride on these children, I call them children, young adults, it's just amazing, and the camaraderie that they have gotten. It's just a wonderful event. I have one other thing. It's called Warren County Schools of Excellence. Queensbury High School, Glens Falls High School, Lake George High School were all awarded the Commitment to Excellence. This is for kids that play sports. In these schools, the kids that played sports, 75% of them did 90% GPA. Remarkable. So it just shows you what is going on with our youth around this area, and it's all very positive. So thank you.
Anyone else? Supervisor Welland?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, me?
Yep.
Thank you. So my request was for an executive session to review a personnel matter. And I'd like to refer to the county attorney to help with the statutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second to go into executive session? So second by Supervisor Drossy, and now that's the county attorney.
Sure, it would be a motion based on Public Officers Law, Section 105, subparagraph F, for the discussion of matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're in executive session.